this is Shanna with Caffeinated Craftiness. Today we are hopping along and celebrating Sabrina from Scrappy Tales Crafts' 3,000 subscriber milestone. There are multiple sponsors including Trinity Stamps, Simon Says Stamp, Hero Arts, Honeybee Stamp Shop, and Not Too Shabby, and Sabrina herself, all sponsoring $25 gift cards for a total of $170 worth of gift cards up for grabs. This is a hashtag hop, so the hashtag in my title is clickable, and Scrappy Tales Slimline 3K will populate a list so you can see all of the hop participants. Today's hop is all about Slimline cards, so I hope you enjoy the Slimline I've created. Today I'll be using products from both sponsors Trinity Stamps and Hero Arts. The stamp set I'm using is called Fly High Animals, and I will be combining that with the Trinity Stamps Wonky Wilderness die set, some oxide inks, blackout detail ink from Ink on 3, and my blending buddies from Trinity Stamps. Not pictured, I'll also be using the Unicorn Pigment ink from Hero Arts. So let's get started. First, what I need to do is make the base for my Slimline card. The easiest way I have found to do this is to take a standard piece of cardstock at 8.5 by 11 and cut 4 inches off of the long side, creating one 4-inch by 8.5 piece and one 7-inch by 8.5 piece. That gives me a panel to work with the stamps for my stamps and then my card base that I can later score and fold. Next, I'm going to actually ink blend my background using some Distress Oxide inks in both Salty Ocean and Tumbled Glass. I did speed this up because it is pretty basic ink blending using my Blending Buddy brushes. I'm just doing a two-tone effect between the Tumbled Glass Oxide ink and the Salty Ocean Oxide ink. I did switch to ink blending onto the glass mat for this, and I'll later go back to my cutting mat. My goal with these colors was to create a nice soft blue sky for my cloud inking. Next, the easiest way I do this is to do my two colors and then to go back and forth between the two blues once I get to that seam line to blend it out a lot smoother. So here I'm just finishing up with the Salty Ocean, and then I will go back to the Tumbled Glass after kind of wiping off the brush some, and then smooth out that seam line, and you'll kind of see it disappear. After I'm done with the blues, I'll clean off my work surface because I'm going to switch to the white pigment ink with this Cloud Edger stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. I'm in love with this stencil. I've seen it recently a lot of places online, and I love the realistic clouds it gives with my ink blending. So I'm taking a blending buddy I've assigned specifically for white pigment ink. I don't use it for any other inks, and I'm just going to go along the edge of the stencil. You can already see the clouds it gives in the background. They're so realistic. I do like the whimsical clouds some other stencils I have give, but for these clouds I really wanted some more realistic ones. So I'm just turning and rotating the stencil because all 4 edges of the stencil actually have different cloud patterns. And then if I think I get too harsh on a line, I just come back in and kind of blend out with my brush a little more. The negative, or this might be the positive side of this, also gives you some more options, and you can actually line it up and fill in and lighten different areas as you want as well, and mask off the blue some more. Next up, I need to stamp my images so we can get coloring. I'm going to grab my Misty. This is actually the Hero Arts collaboration with My Sweet Petunia Misty, and grab my Hero Arts stamp set. I actually let my 10-year-old help design this card, and he picked the airplane with the dog in it. So first I'm going to go ahead and stamp my airplane, and then I will go ahead and add the dog in later. The stamps are designed to where you don't have to mask, I just have to line it up carefully and stamp it. This is just a scrap piece of paper. I use Accent 110-pound cardstock when I'm going to be doing my Copic coloring. I really like the price point and the results I get on it. Stamping it in Ink on 3 blackout ink, one of my favorite black inks. I do tend to double stamp because I like the nice, clean, crisp, dark black imaging. So here you can see that the stamp set actually comes with a bunny, a cat, and a dog. We're actually going to use the dog, like I said earlier, for this one, thanks to my 10-year-old. I'm just going to take it off, and then I'm just kind of tucking it right down in that cockpit so it's nice and lined up. I'll pick it up with the Misty door and stamp it just like I did the airplane. After the image has been all stamped, I will go ahead and color. I'm going to use Copic markers to color. I did include my coloring but sped it up quite a bit. I'm not going to talk you through it, but I'll list my marker combinations on screen. So feel free to sit back, enjoy a little bit of music, and go ahead and watch the coloring. Now let's go ahead and start working on the background. So the Trinity Stamps Wonky Wilderness die set comes with a variety of background pieces to make a outdoor scene. I'm actually going to use the mountain tops and snow caps for my card. This is a 1.5 inch by 8.5 inch piece of paper. That's the same type of cardstock I used for my ink blending. I'm just lining up the mountain tops along the top edge and will die cut in sections to stretch across that piece of paper. I'm able to work on half at a time using the 3 mountains and the single mountain together, and then I will turn around and add that 3 mountain again to the other side of that single mountain to even out and continue on the strip. One of my favorite crafty tools right now is actually pictured on screen. It is the flower magnetic die holder. It is from Twiddler's Nook. I'll be sure to link it in the description below. So now I'm going to cut the snow caps out, same type of white cardstock we've been using on the card so far. After those are all cut out, I'm going to put together the mountains. In order to finish that mountain scene, you're going to notice we need to finish cutting. So the die cuts did most of the work. I'm just going to come through with an X-Acto blade and finish connecting the lines in between the mountain tops. After that's all cut out, I'm going to take my blending buddy. This is the one I use for brown oxide inks. I actually didn't ink this up with anything, so this is just residual ink. It lets me put just a really pale mix onto my cardstock without getting too heavy with my coloring. I just wanted to add a little bit of color to those to make them to where they weren't stark white. I'm going to take my gray blending buddy next and then the pumice stone oxide ink, and I'm going to pounce this on. The bristles add a little bit of texture that I can get, and the oxides land on or lay on top of each other so they don't blend and seep into each other. So it's hard to see on screen, but if you were to look closely, there's like speckled gray all over my mountain tops for some texture. We'll go ahead and glue down the snow caps. I love the little stitch edges that these dies have. Adds just a little bit of whimsy to the card. I played around with these a little bit on camera actually to see where they fit. As you can see, I didn't always guess right the first time, but eventually they landed where they needed to go. Next, I'm just going to glue that mountain scene to the bottom of my ink blended panel. I'm just aligning it straight across the bottom edge and using wet adhesive to glue it down. The wet adhesive for me is a little more forgiving when I want to align something perfectly along an edge. I can kind of wiggle it around until I get it to where I want it. After it's glued where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and grab the Wonky Stitch die from the Wonky Wilderness die set and align it right across the panel. I'm being careful to align it across the bottom edge of the mountain so I can get as much of the mountain as I can in my card. So I'm actually going to take that bottom edge and line it right up with that bottom edge of the die and use some washi tape to just make sure it doesn't move around. After that is all taped in place and I have it positioned where I want it, I'll take it over to my Big Shot and cut it off screen. Wonky stitching is some of my favorite bordering for dies in general, be it slimline or otherwise. I just love the way it looks. I am also a quilter, so sewing lines actually bring me joy in general. Now it's time to build my scene. Bringing back my cute little airplane dog, I'm going to set him kind of nestled into the mountains. His wing kind of fits perfectly in between those mountains. And this way I can get an idea of where I want to set my sentiment. The sentiment's coming from that same Hero Art set, and it says, "Let your dreams take flight." Grabbing my Misty and placing the card into it so I can pick up that sentiment without losing where I wanted it to go. The magnet will hold it right in place, and I am going to use some ink on 3 Peacock Blue Atelier ink to ink up that sentiment. I chose the blue as not to distract from the whole scene. I figured it'd kind of blend in a little bit, but be dark enough to where it was easily read. I just think that the scene speaks to like maybe cold weather. The dog is flying with a scarf on. Of course, it's a little chilly. So between that and the snow-capped mountains, I wanted the scene to kind of take the spotlight. With my sentiment in place, I'm going to go ahead and glue down my little happy dog. I'm going to use some foam tape in order to adhere him to my card panel so he gives a little bit of dimension. I get my foam tape off of Amazon. I'll be sure to link it below. I've been really happy with it. It can be a little hard to take the backing paper off, but I find that true with most foam tapes I've tried. But I do like the price point of this one, and it sticks really well, guys. So be sure you have it where you want it when you go to set it down. I'm just trying to put some good coverage down so there's plenty of foam tape and no way for him to kind of sink and stuff when I put him in the mail. At this point, I wasn't sure if my card was done, so I thought maybe a little bling would help me out. I grabbed the wedding cake confetti mix from Trinity Stamps and their nifty little tidy tray, and decided to randomly place some white sequins across my border. I really love the effect. It's almost like it's snowing, and it just added that little bit of bling that we all love in our cards. I randomly placed some dots of glue, and I'm using my Marvy jewel picker to just select the different size sequins I want right out of that tray. Super simple, super easy. And then I just push them right into the glue drop. One of the best things about using this tidy tray is cleanup. So sequins can be a hassle to clean up, but in this case I just open the bag and that funnel tips them right back in. Super simple, quick, easy, one of the best things about it. I recently received some new Teflon tools from Trinity Stamps as well. They're sold as a set or individually. This is a scoring, almost like a pencil shape. It's perfect to work with any scoreboard. Then there's an ergonomic Teflon bone folder. So it's super comfortable to hold. I wasn't quite sure what it was going to feel like with it being so small, but it fits in my hand perfectly. And it's a little bigger, so it's going to be harder for me to lose on my desk than my traditional bone folder. If you buy the set, it comes in this nifty little pouch, and then I can take it and toss it in my bag if I'm going to a crop or something. I'm going to mount my card right onto my card base, and then I will be done. I still like to use wet adhesive for this process as well, unless I'm going to do foam tape, because I still get that wiggle room. I don't use tape runner hardly at all anymore, unless I'm doing my temporary adhesive when I'm just setting things down for mapping out my scenes. Wet adhesive definitely has become my go-to. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click that like button and subscribe. Also, remember this is a hashtag hop, so the hashtag in my title description is clickable, and it will link up with a bunch of other videos. Hop on over to Sabrina's channel, Scrappy Tales Crafts, and wish her a big, huge congratulations for her 3,000 subscriber milestone. I hope you all have a great day. Stay crafty and stay safe. Bye-bye.